to see your lovely smiling faces on such a grey day. But inside, it's lovely and warm and bright, and there's a lovely atmosphere here, isn't there? Now, today's story. There is a bit of a sad element, but there's something wonderful that comes out of it. Hands up if you've ever had, I haven't told you yet, hands up if you've ever had a big argument with somebody. Oh, have you? Oh dear. Okay, hands down then. That's a lot of people. Do you know what that tells me? It tells me that sadly, there are lots of arguments in the world, and it seems to be part of the human experience to fall out with people, to have a bust up. And you know what? One day, Jesus had to sort out a row among the disciples. Just like sometimes your teachers have to sort out arguments, and even your mum and dads, they have to sort out as well these things as well. Now, I'm going to tell the story of the argument among the disciples from the inside out. I'm going to tell it in the first person, using words such as I and me and we and us, so that I can tell you what I felt, what I saw, what I heard, and that helps to draw you in, so you feel like you were there as well. I don't have a time machine to go back to the days of the disciples, and even if they were around, I probably couldn't afford one, so we'll have to use a dramatic technique. I will turn my back, say 3, 2, 1, and you say action. Should we try that? 3, 2, 1. Action! Then I will turn around, I will look like Mr. Ray, but I will be one of the disciples. And then when I've finished telling the story, I'll turn my back again, say 3, 2, 1, this time you say action. Cut. Well done, the opposite of action. And then I can be Mr. Ray again. So, should we do that? Yeah. Wonderful. Here we go then. 3, 2, 1. Action! Oh, you really want to hear about the day we had a falling out, don't you? I really know you want to hear about this row. And I really don't want to tell you, because I was so ashamed of it. It was such a bad row, it was so silly. But I will tell you about it, because I know that you can learn from this, so you don't have the same fallings out over the same things. Now, I need to tell you the context, the setting, the lead up to the row that we had, so you understand why we were so silly. Now, for me and the other disciples, being one of Jesus' special 12 friends and following him for 3 years was the most amazing adventure of our lives. When he called us to follow him, we were very surprised, because we weren't very educated people. We'd never been to school. It wasn't we weren't clever, we just hadn't developed our learning. We didn't know how smart we could be. We had ordinary jobs, we were ordinary people, and Jesus called us to be his disciples. Wow, what an honour. We all said yes. We followed him from village to village, from town to town, to the cities. And there we sat in the crowd, a bit like you are. And we listened to what Jesus taught about God's kingdom, and about how much he loved us, and how we should love him back, love each other, and make good choices, not bad choices. This was very simple, but wonderful. There were other things that we didn't understand so easily. I won't go into those. Things like parables, which were quite hard to understand. At the end of Jesus' teaching, if there were poorly people in the crowd, he would touch them. And they got well. And when the people in the crowd saw this, they ran off and they brought to Jesus all the poorly people they could find in the villages and the towns. They brought them all to Jesus. People who couldn't see or hear properly or were disabled. They brought them all to Jesus. He touched them. And they all got well. We saw miracles in front of our eyes. Now, after a few months, Jesus said something astonishing to us. He said, okay, you guys, you've heard what I teach. You've seen what I do. Now it's your turn. What? Our turn. But everyone was saying that Jesus was very special. They were saying, we think this is God's son, the Messiah, the one we've been waiting for. Well, we weren't special. I've already told you, we were very ordinary people. How could we go and speak in public to people about God's kingdom? How could we do miracles? But he said to us, I'm going to send you in pairs. Oh, that's good. It's better than being on your own. Always be a friend to someone who needs a friend. It's great. He said, you'll go in pairs. You will go in my name, with my authority, and you will tell the things I've told and do the things I've done. And even though you can't see me, I'll be with you. Oh, okay. Sometimes if you trust someone, you can do what they say, even if you don't really understand the reasons why. And that's what we did. We went off in pairs. We arrived at 6 villages at the same time. That was more than Jesus could go to. And we did speak to people about God's kingdom and his love. And the people did listen. And then at the end, we saw the poorly people. We remembered what Jesus had said. We thought, we can't just leave them. I don't know what's going to happen, but we touched them and they got well. All the people we prayed for got well. Every pair of us rushed back to Jesus to report the things that we'd seen. He wasn't even surprised. But he did say this to us. He said, don't be filled with joy because you see miracles. Instead, be overjoyed because your Heavenly Father loves you and your names are written in his book because you have believed in me. Oh, well, that changed our minds on what was really important in life and what you could get excited about. We set off again on another journey. Do you know, I can't actually remember where we were going this time, but I know that Jesus was in the lead on a path through the mountains, and we were following behind. And on the way, a sort of debate started, a discussion. It started when one of the disciples was showing off. He was, I'm afraid. He was saying, hey guys, do you know when we went to the villages, you should have seen the people listening to me. I didn't even know I could talk that well. I impressed myself. And afterwards, you should have seen the miracles I did. I think when I get to heaven, God's going to give me a big pat on the back, a big reward, and an important seat in heaven. The other disciples were outraged. How dare he show off and try to make out he's better than us? And I'm afraid we did something that you're not really supposed to do. We tried to outdo him. Instead of just ignoring him, we tried to outboast him. Oh yeah? You think you're so great? Such a hot shot? Well, you should have seen me. I spoke to more people than you. I did bigger miracles. And when I get to heaven, I'm going to get a bigger reward than you because I will be in front of you. Jesus was in the lead. He heard the commotion. He turned round. He could probably tell from the body language that we were all cross with each other, even if he couldn't hear the words. But later, he asked us, what were you arguing about on the way? Oh, we were too ashamed to say. We could not bring ourselves to tell him that we were arguing about this. We were actually arguing about which one of us was the... Hands up, don't call out if you can read the word. Do it in your head. I haven't painted it yet. You must be mind readers. But let everyone read it for themselves. And put your hands up if you can read it. We were arguing about which one of us was the... Do you know?
Leader.
Oh, that's a fantastic word. Well done for trying. That's not the word I painted. Well done. Point for you. And let's say it together. The greatest. That's what we were arguing about. Which one of us was the greatest? Do you think that's a good thing to row about? No, not at all. And Jesus, even though we couldn't admit what we were rowing about, he knew everything anyway. We saw the look of disappointment on his face, but he didn't have a go at us. Instead, he explained. He said, guys, you have so got this round the wrong way. He said, in God's kingdom, it's not like it is on the earth, where people want to be noticed, and people want to be famous, and they want people to look up to them and think they're amazing. He said, God's kingdom isn't like that. The people you think are the greatest are not the ones that God notices the most. He said, if you really want to be the greatest in God's kingdom, then you have to make yourself the... Hands up, don't call out. Yes. Well done. Point for you. Let's say together, the least. Make yourself the least. The least. That didn't make any sense. How can I make myself teeny tiny? I didn't understand it. But then he began to explain. You see, part of the problem for us was what was in there, in our hearts, wanting to be big and special and important. Part of it was insecurity. We didn't believe we were loved, and so we had to make ourselves special so that people would love us. But part of it was the fact that we were in the Roman Empire. It was our culture. Some of you have learned about the Romans, is that right? Some of you have learned. So you know that in our empire, which was the biggest empire the world had ever seen at that time, we had the greatest. The greatest, of course, was the emperor with his wreath, his purple robes, like your jumpers, but only the emperor was allowed to wear purple. His massive throne, you couldn't go near it, and if you didn't do what he said, or worse. And then under the emperor we had kings and queens, princes, princesses, governors, and other rulers, the people we had to obey and look up to. If you couldn't be one of them, then it would be good if you were rich, covered with gold jewellery and fine clothes, and lived in a massive house. Then people would look up to you. Maybe they thought, oh, God has blessed you, but I'm very ordinary. God doesn't seem to have blessed me. That's how we thought. If you couldn't be rich, then you would have to be tall and strong and brave, a soldier, a gladiator, or a charioteer, or a javelin thrower, or the fastest marathon runner. If you weren't that talented, then it would be good to be the most handsome man in town, or the most beautiful lady. If you were like this, people would look up to you and think, oh, if only I could be like you. Everyone wanted to be something special. And Jesus said, no, in God's kingdom it isn't like that. And he explained to us that even though he was God's son, he said he didn't come to the earth and make people bow to him and serve him and tell them what to do or else, even though he could have. He said instead of this, that he came to the earth as one of these. Hands up. Thank you for not calling out. Well done. Yes. Well done. Point for you. Let's say it together. Servant. Of course it was too. We saw that in his life. But I have here 3 symbols on the board, which are very special to Christians. And they show us something about the life of Jesus that illustrates what he said about being a servant. He said that he'd also come to give his life as a ransom for many. But we didn't actually know what that meant until later. The first symbol, you've been learning about this, is that when he was born, he wasn't born in a palace, but in a stable. Well done. His bed wasn't covered with silk cushions. It was a manger. His bed was the donkey's dinner, the hay in the manger. What a strange bed. I've never slept in one of those. How humble he was. And later, of course, as his life unfolded, we realized what he meant in giving his life as a ransom. On that hill outside Jerusalem, on that terrible day when he gave his life for our sins. That's what he meant, to give his life as a ransom. But, you know, it says in the Bible that because he did this, God raised him back to life, took him back to heaven and said, now you will sit at my right hand side on a throne. You will no longer be a servant. Now I am making you the King. Let's say it again together. King. And so you see, for us disciples, it wasn't Jesus' words alone which spoke to us. It was his life. We understood what made somebody great. 3, 2, 1. Now, this was of course a long time ago. And I was thinking, if you think this is a good message and a good lesson to take on board and something to put into practice, what could it look like in the year 2015 in London? I've got some ideas. I think this: if Jesus were in your playground with his friends playing in your school, and someone came and said, "Can I join you?" He would never say, "No, go and get your own mates, leave us alone." He would never say that. He would welcome people and include them and value them. And even more than this, I don't think he would wait for people to ask, because I've noticed that in life, sometimes children, they don't have the courage to ask because they're too worried about what people will say to them. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I think Jesus would go to find them. Go and find the ones who look sad, who don't look included, who don't seem to have many friends. And he would be their friend. Come on, come and play with us. Do you think that would be a very kind thing to do? Yeah. And if Jesus were at the head of the queue in school and someone pushed him and said, "I'm first," he wouldn't push him out of the way. "No, you're not, I am." Even if he were first, he would find someone who never gets to be first and would say, "Psst, come here, do you want to be first?" Wow, wouldn't they feel special? Now in the classroom, sitting at the tables, I don't think Jesus would grab the sharpest, longest pencil for himself. I think he would pass them round and say, "You go first. I don't mind if I have the little stubby one. You can still write with them, can't you?" He would make himself the least. And at home, I don't think Jesus would run through the front door, dive on the settee, grab the remote control and say, "Ha ha, I get to choose." You know what I'm talking about. I think even if he got the remote control first, he would say, "You have it, you choose." And if they're too little to choose, he would say, "Come on, tell me what to watch and I'll find it for you." And if they pick something that's really babies, or he's seen 100 times, he wouldn't make them feel silly. He would say, "Okay, I'll watch it with you, and then we can watch my choice." And at the dinner table, I don't think Jesus would grab the biggest bit of cake or the last chocolate biscuit before anyone else did. I think he would pass them round and say, "You go first. I won't die if I don't get the biggest bit of cake. You have it, and I'll wait for what's left." You might find other ways to put others first. I bet you if you look hard enough, and if you say, "Lord, help me to see ways of doing this," you will think of things I haven't even thought of. Ways of putting others first. And when we do this, we discover the truth of what Jesus said. You get a bigger blessing from giving than from getting. You can find out if that's true or not yourselves. So lots to think about. Mrs. Cartwright, do we have time for a song? Yeah, let's have a song about how amazing it is to have a friend like Jesus. Even though he is the King, if I ask him to, he'll be my friend. If I put my trust in him. Now for this song, I can't remember if we've done this before. You need 2 hands, 2 knees, and a big singing voice. I think that's everybody here. Is that right? Yeah. It goes like this. It's great, great, brill, brill, wicked, wicked, skill, skill. To have a friend like Jesus. Great, great, brill, brill, wicked, wicked, skill, skill. To have a friend like him, join in with me. It's great, great, brill, brill, wicked, wicked, skill, skill. To have a friend like Jesus. Great, great, brill, brill, wicked, wicked, skill, skill. To have a friend like him. He's always there. He always listens. He always hears me when I talk to him. Talk, 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 talk. He loves me now and will forever. I'll live for him every day, day, day. It's joining with me and we'll go a bit higher. It's great, great, bro, bro, wicked, skill, skill. To a friend like Jesus. Great, great, bro, bro, wicked, skill, skill. To a friend like him, sing it with me. He's always there. He always listens. He always hears me when I talk to him. Talk, 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 talk. He loves me now and will forever. I'll live for him every day, day, day. It's great, great, real, real, English, yes, yes. To a friend like Jesus. go. Don't friend like him. It's bring everywhere we go. Don't friend like Jesus. Bring everywhere we go. Don't friend like